Ma'am, if you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Jacqlyn Combs on the Army side. I'm a logistics officer. I'm actually the support operations officer for the 371st Sustainment Brigade out of Springfield, Ohio. And then on the civilian side, I am a country support manager at AFSAC for the country of India, and I manage the C-17 portfolio for that country.
In addition to your full-time career as an Air Force civilian, you're obviously a lieutenant colonel in the Army, the National Guard, that's correct?
Correct. Yep.
In 2020, you were activated and for the fight against COVID-19. Can you explain what you did for the state of Ohio during that activation?
Absolutely. So initially, because we didn't really know what COVID was how it was going to affect everything, so I started out as a liaison officer to the Emergency Management Agency in Columbus, Ohio. So I worked with the EMA as just kind of an L&O from the logistics perspective on anything that they needed while they were planning the different off-site overflow care facilities if necessary, and just all different types of logistical planning efforts and initiatives concerning COVID response.
Okay. You worked at the mass vaccination site in the Wolstein Center in Cleveland, and that site was open for 12 weeks, and during that time 258,000 vaccines were administered, many to high-risk individuals. Did the assignment teach you anything about leadership that you didn't know before the pandemic?
Whew, that's a loaded question. So my role initially before that site was stood up, I was the lead planner for the National Guard. And so I was working with multiple agencies. I was working with FEMA, I was working with Ohio EMA in planning that effort. So initially I was a little overwhelmed because we had never done anything like that here in Ohio at that scale. Mm-hmm. I started out as the lead planner for that effort, and then dealing with the multiple agencies, just understanding everybody's requirements and trying to package it and trying to also work with the site, right? So the university there, Cleveland State University, they were amazing working with them as well. But like all those different interagencies, I think for me, it taught me a lot about working with different local and federal agencies to make something that big
Right.
and impactful happen. But then my role kind of transitioned to the chief of staff, so I managed the staff folks once we got more National Guardsmen in there to kind of help just manage the different pieces to what made that whole operation function. So,
Okay.
but yeah, so it taught me how to work with different agencies, but then it also taught me how to work through my staff to make sure things were getting done. Because I like to roll my sleeves up and get in there, but it's really difficult to kind of stand back and work through and empower your staff to make that happen for you. So.
Right. When you've got a huge operation like that going on,
Sure.
you can't do everything yourself.
No, absolutely
not.
not.
You've got to use the people at your
Sure.
disposal to do.
Yeah, and the staff, we were kind of behind the scenes anyways. We weren't actually the executors. We had active duty folks that were administering the vaccinations, and they were that customer face-to-face. And some of our guardsmen, brought them in and had them flow through. But at the end of the day, we were kind of behind the scenes, the staff and my team.
So in your civilian job, you work as a country manager.
Mm-hmm.
So you help kind of bridge the gap between the Air Force system and the Indian Air Force system. Do you think that kind of that experience helped you when you were working with multiple bureaucracies, all these different organizations trying to respect each other's, each organization has their own process on how to do things?
Absolutely. I think it did help me a lot because you have to have that patience, right, to just understand that, different agencies do things a little different than what your, organization does. So, yeah, that absolutely did help me while working with those different organizations. So, agreed.
Okay. What motivates you to serve?
That's a great question. I know that when I joined active duty, I was kind of like right out of college, you're just, I don't really know what to do with my life, so here I am serving in the military. But as I came off active duty and transitioned into the Guard, I started in the New York Guard, but then transferred to the Ohio Guard. But it just, a lot of the things that we do is in the service to our state. So for me, it's very fulfilling to work for, and to be in the service of our fellow statesmen, if you will. So that's what I really like about serving.
I'll throw a word out to you. It's kind of a big word, but do you consider yourself a role model? And I mean that in the sense of, what could younger service members learn from your example that you've set? So
role model, I'd like to think that I consider myself a role model from several aspects, right? So I'm a female officer, which is, has its difficulties, but it's very rewarding, and it's very nice to be at a level to where you can show other female officers, female enlisted, that, you can do this. I think initially it can be intimidating as a female in the military, just because we're a smaller percentage of the military than our male counterparts, so it does get a little intimidating. But I think just reminding yourself that you're competent and you know what you're doing, because you received training for it, is probably the best advice I could give. Is to just be true to yourself. I know that's a funny thing to, or not funny thing. I know it's kind of like a canned answer, but I truly believe that, staying true to yourself and reminding yourself that, you were trained for this, you know what you're doing, you're put here for a reason, to just kind of remind yourself of that, helps a lot while you're navigating the military world.
Mm-hmm. And what can younger service members learn from you?
Okay. So I think what they can learn from me is to come to a situation with, I guess, compassion and empathy. I know a lot of times in the military, especially in the Army, we get that, I don't want to say it's a stigma or a bad reputation of being just hard charging and go, 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 which we can be, and that's just part of it. But also understanding, your soldiers, you got to take care of your soldiers first, right? So coming into mission sets or tasks with a sense of empathy and understanding kind of helps build that foundation first, so that they're more liable to work together and to work with you. So I think that's very beneficial, what can be learned from me. I consider myself pretty blessed throughout both my military and civilian career. I've had really amazing mentors on both the Army and my civilian side. So with that, that's obviously influenced a lot of my successes, because I pick from what made them successful and kind of try to make it my own, and use that as a tool for success, if you will. So.
Is there a particular lesson that you can draw from, or that rings out to you?
I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and I started getting this on the civilian side, was just learning patience. Because especially in FMS, things do not happen fast. So you kind of have to learn to be patient and not turn on that Army hat, if you will, that's go, 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 drive, drive, drive. So yeah, I would say on the civilian side, I've learned a lot of patience, but I've also learned patience during my military orders as well, because dealing with COVID response, we've been involved in a lot of mission sets that we've never done before. It's been unprecedented. So just having patience on developing creative ways to react to that, or to support different operations, I would say patience has served me well. So.